If you've been exploring watercolor and things just aren't turning out how you imagined, maybe the paint feels unpredictable or your results just look a little off, most of the struggles beginners face come from 3 common mistakes, none of which are about skill. So let's break them down. If you're like most beginners, you've probably heard, just grab any watercolor set and see if you actually like watercolor. It sounds simple and low pressure, but this one choice can quietly cause so much frustration that you end up thinking you're the problem, when in reality, it's your materials. Watercolor behaves very differently depending on the quality of your supplies. So you could follow the exact steps in a tutorial and still end up with patchy or dull color, streaks that just refuse to blend, even muddy mixes or paper buckling so much. That's not a lack of skill, that's your tools making everything harder. Unlike acrylic or oil, where you can often get away with lower grade supplies, watercolor is extremely sensitive to the surface you're using. You're not just moving paint, you're guiding water, and how that water flows, blends, and dries depends heavily on the paper underneath it. So if things have felt unpredictable or disappointing, it might simply be that your materials aren't supporting the process. This doesn't mean you need to now go and buy fancy tools. You just need the right ones. And if you're not sure where to start, I put together a free watercolor supplies guide that walks you through exactly what to look for and what to avoid. And you'll find a link below this video, or you can just scan this code right here. Getting the right supplies won't instantly make you a pro, but it will stop your tools from working against you. And once that frustration melts away, that's when real progress starts to happen with less and less effort. This is super common if you're coming from acrylic, oil, gouache, or even digital art. You approach watercolor with the same expectations, and then nothing behaves the way you think it should. You might try to fix something and it just gets worse. You layer a color and the layer underneath lifts or blooms or just gets patchy, and one little mistake feels like it just ruins the whole piece. This isn't your fault. Watercolor just has its own logic. It's transparent, it flows, it moves on its own, it stains, lifts, dries lighter, spreads in water, and sometimes completely ignores your plans. Because at the end of the day, you're not controlling it, you're collaborating with it. Trying to treat watercolor like acrylic or oil is like trying to grow a tropical plant in the desert. You can give it all the care in the world, but if the environment isn't right, it will still struggle. And the same goes for watercolor. Watercolor needs different conditions to thrive. And when watercolor thrives, you thrive as well. So once you understand how it actually behaves, how it dries, how water affects pigment, how to layer without lifting everything just changes. It stops feeling random, stops feeling like a fight, and suddenly the process becomes fun, intuitive, and much more relaxing. And that's exactly what we work on in the free Paint to Paper challenge. It's a beginner-friendly experience that helps you work with watercolor, not against it. So if you want to join, the link is below this video. Now, even with good supplies and a basic understanding of watercolor, there's one habit that still trips people up, and that's just jumping straight into a painting without planning or testing it first. And I totally understand that, because you're excited, you finally have time, you just want to paint and you want to create something on your own maybe, you don't want to follow a tutorial. But that's usually what leads to getting halfway through a piece and feeling stuck. Most of that comes from skipping the planning stage. But planning doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as just sketching your idea first, testing your color palette, practicing one tricky section on a scrap of paper. These tiny steps become your creative safety net. They remove the pressure, give you clarity, and help you solve problems before you're deep into the painting. It's like rehearsing before a performance. You're not wasting time, you're actually setting yourself up for success. You're setting yourself up to paint with confidence. So if watercolor has felt harder than you expected, it's not because you're not cut out for it. It might simply be that your materials are working against you, you're expecting watercolor to behave like another medium, or you're just skipping steps that actually make painting a lot easier. So once you shift even just one of these, everything starts to click and becomes so much easier. So if you want help choosing the right tools, grab the free watercolor supplies guide below. And if you want a gentle and supportive way to build these foundations so painting finally feels fun instead of frustrating, then make sure to join the Paint to Paper challenge, because watercolor doesn't have to feel unpredictable. So I hope I'll see you in the Paint to Paper challenge.